It landed on the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship, the second round for 2020. In Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, it's Superbikes at Road America number 2. It's the Liqui Moly Junior Cup class. And Jason, we're in phase 2 here in Wisconsin, so things have opened up and we have race fans, but Liqui Moly Junior Cup, always an entertaining race.
Yeah, amazing. And I think at the beginning of the year, everybody thought Rocco was going to be gone because he qualified for Red Bull Rookies Cup. But Dominic Doyle brought the race to him at Road America when Rocco Landers showed up, and he's going to do some races with us. Rocco dominated all weekend long. Rocco was actually playing catch up a little bit, but in the race, these two were tied together. They had a big lead over third, and Dominic Doyle did the double here with two very small margin victories over Rocco Landers.
And Rocco Landers, of course, there's a close margin of victory, comes out and expects to win, and he had a dominating season last year. And of course, for Dominic Doyle and Rocco Landers, well, September 21st and 22nd of last year at Barber, it was Rocco who got the better of Dominic Doyle, and he turned the tables at Road America number 1. But there's a whole host of competitors going after these two, including Sam Lockhoff and Benjamin Gloddy. We're getting close to the race start to see how these two do.
Today's Junior Cup coverage is sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Welcome back to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Road America, Superbikes at Road America number 2. Yeah, those are race fans. They're here at the racetrack. Welcome back to all the race fans, because they are treating some great race action. Well, for Rocco Landers, Jason, who is our reigning champ in the Liqui Moly Junior Cup, he's now racing in Twins and Junior Cup. And take a look at this. This was the margin of defeat in Junior Cup race number 1, .078. You can see in Twins Cup the heartbreak of 2,000, 7,000th in Junior Cup race number 2. All told, when we were here, May 30th and 31st, Rocco Landers didn't win a race in a race weekend, which is, I believe, his first in MotoAmerica.
Yeah, crazy.
And the total margin of which he lost was .169 of a second.
And one of them was a third.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so it shows how close the racing is in these classes, and I think that I said in the last telecast that if you were to be a betting person, which you know we're not, but if we were, would we have thought that Rocco wouldn't win any one of 4 races on a weekend? So that's a tough one for him that weekend. He'll turn it around.
The rolling hills of Wisconsin have provided us with a spectacular motorcycle and car race course, Road America, 4 miles long. You got a good blend of left-handers and right-hand corners. And Jason, I think the thing about this particular course is you don't get to see on TV is the elevation changes that are here. They're quite extreme.
They are, and they're in braking areas, and they're coming up front straightaways, and when you go down between turns 1 and 3 there, the little kink that they call turn 2, going steep downhill. The carousel, turn 9 and 10 is all downhill. Flattens out between turn 11 and Canada Corner, and then it's all back uphill from there. Turn 13 is a very difficult corner. So we'll get to the Suzuki hot spots now, Greg, and kind of places that we deem to be kind of spots that we can see some action. And obviously when you come down this big long front straightaway, turn 1 is going to be just that. There's going to be some action down into turn 1. You go through there, and then you go down to 3, and it takes you down to turn 5, one of the iconic spots on our series where we see a lot of passing, a lot of action. We see some accidents. We see just a number of things happening down there. Easy to make a mistake. Same here with turn 8. Back downhill again into turn 8, and it leads you into the carousel. Carousel is one of those turns that, even when I was lucky enough to do some things overseas, everybody wanted to know about that Road America track, that big long right. Yeah, it's the carousel. That's this one. It goes on forever and ever. And this is going to take you eventually down to Canada Corner. This is where it gets really narrow down into here, and we see a lot of last lap passes and action going down into Canada Corner. And then, of course, we come out of this last turn 14, and go up this big steep hill to the start-finish line.
A lot of incredible talent in this class, including young riders like Dominic Doyle and Rocco Landers, as they are prepared to do some battle at the 4-mile Road America. We're excited to see how it goes. It's coming up.
Today's Junior Cup race coverage is sponsored by Liqui Moly. Fuel your passion with Germany's #1 oil and additive products.
Siebken's Resort in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Beautiful place to go hang out, Jason. And
the Sunday nights there back in the day were pretty epic.
You're not kidding.
Thinking about.
Let's take a look at our starting grid, Jason, because Dominic Doyle picks up where he left off.
He certainly did. Rocco Landers, and obviously Dominic went 2:39.9, another lap record. Rocco Landers, Benjamin Glady. Then we're going to have Gus Rodeo, Daniel Flores, and Sam Lockoff are going to be rounding out row 2. Then we're going to go on back to row 3. We got David Kolstedt, Errol Sullivan. Good to see him a little bit closer this weekend than he was last time. Joseph Lamarjorie Jr., Liam Grant, Cody Wyman, and Jack Roach. Good to see Jack back in the paddock. And then we got Aiden Thau, John Knowles, Tristan King, Brady Forrs, Isaiah Burleson, and Daniel Kennard.
Talented field here with Cameron Jones and Alexis Oliveira. Now Jason, Dominic Doyle, 18 years old. Let's get it right down to the third member of our broadcast team, Hannah Lopa.
Hey guys, it's really hot out here right now. By the way, I just checked the track temps, about 104 degrees. I wanted to mention the big storyline of last race weekend was Dominic Doyle sweeping the podium and Rocco Landers finishing second in both races. This is the first time in his MotoAmerica career that Rocco did not actually win a race. When I spoke to his team earlier, they said that they completely overhauled the bike between last round and this round. I mean, massively overhauled. It's a completely different bike, to give him the best fighting chance that he has to put the bike back on the top step of the podium. So we'll see what happens, if it's enough for him.
For Rocco Landers, Jason, 0.6 of a second off of Dominic Doyle. Wasn't what he wanted in qualifying, but Rocco also hit the deck early on in the weekend.
He did. He just had a little mistake. We have not seen that at all from Rocco. I mean, I can't honestly remember ever seeing him crash. And he just had a tip off in turn 6 yesterday. It looked fairly minimal damage and things to the bike. And as well, Dominic Doyle this morning, he fell as well. And he fell in the chicane. Minimal damage as well, it looked like for him. I did.
The minimal damage, I mean, yeah. This is Rocco's crash from yesterday. Look at this one.
He just gets in there, a little bit of chatter, and it just, I'm just lucky his leg, I'm just glad his leg wasn't underneath that bike when he did what he did. A lot of mud and stuff were falling off it. He was on a good lap. That's why he was frustrated. And this was Dominic Doyle this morning in warm-up. Actually, their qualifying session. He'd already gone 39.9, and you can see here. And I had a little contact with his crew chief, Dustin Apgar, who told me, he said, "Gee, the bike was fine. Like, there was really nothing wrong with it." Here he goes.
It's time to go racing. Liqui Moly Junior Cup grid is set. Dominic Doyle, the number 25, on pole position. Rocco Landers, the champion, trying to erase memories from 4 weeks ago. Upper left-hand part of your screen, when those lights go off, we're going racing. Race number 1 from MotoAmerica, and Dominic Doyle with a great launch.
Just Rodeo as well from just there on the second row. You can see he's got a good jump. He's right in the back of Dominic Doyle right now. He's peeking out to have a look at some things as they go down into turn 1, but Doyle's going to lead them on their way. Rocco's going to blend himself into second. Lockoff up to 4th place on that Celtic 400 Ninja. So the two guys that these kids got to chase have found the front. Now it's going to be a matter of just seeing if they can try to stay with them the best they can.
Gus Rodeo on the red motorcycle in 3rd position, number 96. From 4th place, 2nd row, with a good launch, trying to keep the draft of the top 2 bikes. Rocco Landers, number 1, starts to make his move down into turn number 5. This is where the braking duel happens. They fan out. Dominic Doyle leaves it late, gets it down to the apex, and gets about a bike length over Rocco Landers.
And Ben Glady slid himself from 5th place out of turn 3, and he was able to go down underneath underneath Sam Lockoff as they went down into turn 5. So Glady, a podium finisher from our last round, gets himself up into 3rd, and looks like he's trying to run with these two.
Ben Glady, number 72 on the Quarterly Racing On Track Development Kawasaki, out of New Hampshire in 3rd, as our race leader, Dominic Doyle, out of South Africa on that Barkcarn Racing Kawasaki. A lot of Kawasaki's in the field. Wyman on our lone Yamaha, and Cameron Jones our lone Honda.
Yeah, exactly. Only got a couple other brands in there, and you saw Rocco had a little look over his shoulder to see if anybody was going, and Ben's still trying to stay close. The rider there in 5th place, Greg, number 20, is it 29 or 39? I'm just trying to look, Greg.
Errol Sullivan, 39?
No, it's 29, it looks like on the screen.
Oh, that'd be David Kolstad.
Yeah, David Kolstad doing a really good job getting himself up into that 5th place spot as they went into the chicane.
Yeah, you saw Rocco make a move there. He looks behind him, and then he taps his tail section. What's he trying to do?
I think he's trying to just let Ben know, like, let's just stay where you're at, but I don't even know if he knows how close Ben Glady actually is. Looks like we had an incident somewhere here.
So a rider down.
Christian
King on the 20.
Is that turn 7, it looks like, possibly. Right in the middle of out of turn 6, turn 7 possibly, Greg, there.
So the New York native
up
is
and okay.
down on his Ninja 400. Looks like he's going to be okay, but disappointing to make the trip from New York to Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and have your race start in this fashion.
Get another shot at it tomorrow. These two guys, see it when we were here last, I believe the winning margins were like 27, 28 seconds. So that's what these guys are trying to close up behind now. And Glady's done a good job of at least seeing these guys for the first lap. And you can see he's really having a go. And then you got Lockoff right there with Kolstad and Rodeo doing their best to go with them.
So Dominic Doyle, Rocco Landers, and Ben Glady lead the way. Sam Lockoff, Kolstad on the 29, Gus Rodeo on the 96, who had a good start. Now slotted back into 6th. Knowles in 7th. Flores in 8th. Cody Wyman in 9th. And Roach in 10th spot when they came across the line. Just taking a look at these two evenly matched motorcycles. Rocco trying to get down into turn 5. He pulls out of the draft. You can see that Dominic Doyle just lifts, and he's got command at turn number 5 for the moment.
Yeah, right now, what Rocco's really going to try to do is just see Rodeo and Kolstad go there through turn 5. Rocco likes to follow. He likes to just kind of pressure guys. You can hear that bike behind you. You can hear somebody kind of sitting there on you. Dominic really didn't really bother him, it didn't seem, at the last race. It seemed like he was happy enough to just be doing his thing out front, trying to set the pace. But then they did do some engaging for sure. Rocco has another look over his shoulder to see that Glady is still trying his best to stay there with them.
And another look over his shoulder. Through the carousel they go. Turn number 9 and 10. Then they'll get to the chicane. Turn 11. So, the thing about these particular motorcycles, Ninja 400s, they're not horsepower machines. So you've got to really start planning where you're going to pass somebody. If your bike has got the gearing to draft or execute that pass under braking.
That was one of the things that he made a change on, did Dominic Doyle, right before the race, race 1 last month. He made a little gearing change, and that really did seem to help him throughout the course of the weekend. So you're not off on that, Greg. Gearing is such a big, important role on these bikes. And, right now these two guys, if you remember before, we had probably a 3 or 4 second lead. So I think it's really cool to see Benjamin Glady doing a good job sticking in there with these guys at the moment. He's not quite close enough to give him too much of a problem. And we'll see if Rocco can lead a lap or two here in a minute, see if he decides to try to draft past Dominic or not.
So Rocco Landers, he got a good drive out of the final corner. He's not really choosing to sit in the draft, Jason. This is very interesting. He's not side by side with him, but I wonder if Rocco thinks at this point that he's got something in the tank. He has another look over. I guarantee you, aerodynamically, that is not a good move on a front straightaway on a Ninja 400.
Well, especially when you're passing your pit board. All you got to do is look over, and I'm sure his dad is on that pit board, and he's got the information that he needs to see. So keeping eyes forward is going to be kind of an important thing there.
Let's get down to Hannah with more on what Dunlop has to offer.
Something I thought was kind of interesting, in our Hono Superbike class and our Supersport class, our riders have a choice in what tires they want to run. But for the Junior Cup this weekend, Dunlop only brought the medium plus tires. They said they noticed all of their riders gravitating toward this tire choice. It's a medium plus rear, so all of them are on an exactly even playing field. When the tire goes off, they will all wear the exact same.
Yeah, that's great new information, because then that allows Dunlop to manage what they bring to the racetrack and possibly, Hannah, even get more tires for other classes.
It's a big thing if all the riders like the same tire, too. It really helps Dunlop a lot in certain ways. So we're looking at the lap times here. We're looking at 41.1, 41 flat for Rocco. So we know these guys can drop another second. We know that they can get down into the low 40s. And, you know, it's just going to be a determination of if Rocco feels that he can push the pace and maybe try to go by Dom and try to push it and go a little bit quicker, or, you know, what is exactly happening here? Is there a little bit of cat and mouse where Dom's just kind of controlling the pace? We've seen him go 39.9 this weekend.
That is true.
On a couple different sessions. He did it this morning and he did it yesterday as well. So it's just a matter of seeing what's happening here.
That is true. So 241.1 for Dominic Doyle, 241 flat for Rocco Landers last time by. Not setting the world on fire at record pace, as Dominic Doyle had basically broken the track record, captured the track record in Liqui Moly Junior Cup with a 239.981 in qualifying. So there is something in the tank, and not special tires either, Jay.
But we're starting to see some colors on our screen that indicate to us that the sector times are getting a little bit faster. You know, on Greg and I's screen here, we can look and see that right now, both these guys have gone quickest in the second and third split. Rocco went quicker in second split, and then we have Dominic quicker in the third. So those are race best lap times, or sectors, if you will. So this lap by is going to be a little bit quicker. They had, what did they have, Greg? They had 1.6 on Benjamin that last lap, and you can see it's pulled out just a little bit. And you're right, Rocco's not really entertaining the idea of getting in Dominic's draft right now, which tells me he's just kind of sitting there watching and wondering, and you know, for the next 4 laps, this is probably what we're going to see.
241 ones, so basically identical to the pace they ran before. A lot of that time being lost in terms of going faster. You know, fastest lap of the race in that final sector. But Dominic Doyle, you know, the thing is with Rocco Landers, Jason, we know that Rocco last year won from pretty much every which way there was, from checking out to close races, you know, from back of the grid to sitting and watching. Yep. I mean, it's just really incredible the way he does it. So having someone like Rocco behind you now studying all your lines and what you're doing, Rocco looks to me, the #1 plate, very comfortable at the moment. And
you know, you say that, and it's funny to see somebody so young not really feel panicked at all to do anything. And it's really a testament to, you know, I think what his parents have done as far as keeping him racing every single weekend. He's on a bike, he's riding track days, he's on a motorcycle an awful lot. So it builds his confidence in knowing exactly what he has underneath him and being able to plan out his races accordingly. And when you can start to learn to plan a race out when you're 15, 16 years old, that's a big thing. So they rip down through turn 7 here, and you can see Rocco just rolls out a little bit. The thing that Rocco's been amazing at over the last year to watch is just how he kind of lets off the lever. Yep, 39 is down, Greg.
Unfortunately, the
Errol
39.
Sullivan.
Yeah, Errol Sullivan, who you'd mentioned it, had a good qualifying, better than last time.
Such a bummer.
Yeah, so Sullivan is going to be down
in turn 5, Greg. He's down in turn 5, and I think Errol was in a group. Yeah, you can see he's in a bit of a group. Let's see what happens. And he just kind of gets into Isaiah Burleson and him, and he hit his head hard. And it looks also like his airbag went off, so that's a good sign that his airbag deployed. Built into the suit. Yep. So the airbag providing protection to the riders. Up front we go to Dominic Doyle and Rocco Landers. Jay, you talked about Rocco, 15 years old out of Burns, Oregon, and with already so much racecraft. 3.5 laps to go. A little less than that for Dominic Doyle and Rocco Landers to sort this one out, Jay. Yep, and looking at the lap times last time through, Greg, really no faster again. 41.1s for both of them, even though we're seeing purple on our screen, which indicates fast. It's not really showing up on the actual lap time. So Rocco's just kind of hanging out. You know, that's just what he's doing. Put me in the mindset of Dominic Doyle right now. I think Dom's just hitting his marks. He's just thinking to himself right now, I'm going to just keep doing what I've done. I've got a couple wins. Obviously, he's not intimidated anymore by the fact that he's racing up against a guy who was so dominant last year. Dom's worked awful hard with his crew chief in the winter time as well in making some big strides and getting that bike better. That Barcon Racing team have put a good motorcycle underneath him. So looking at this battle now a little bit further back, got Gus Rodeo, Sam Lockoff, and David Kolstad. I think Lockoff may have made a mistake this lap because I noticed in the first split was way off of what he normally would do, like almost 2.5 seconds. So he may have ran wide somewhere or done something because he was starting to bridge that gap to Glotty a little bit, and maybe a mistake was made. So he's now trying to get back on the back of Gus Rodeo, Here you can see Glotty doing a really good job, and you can see Gus Rodeo again on the 96 bike trying to run down Glotty as well.
The leader, 25, Dominic Doyle, into turn 5. The lap times were lowered last time by. They went from 2:41.1s to 2:40.8, so 0.3 of a second.
One of the questions I really want to ask Rocco, and I'm going to ask him, whether he'll tell me or not, I don't know, but you watch going through this turn 7 now. When they go down into the braking area, turn 8, I want you to watch Rocco look down. It's almost like he looks at his dash almost, and you can kind of, he'll look down every now and then, like into 5. I've seen it. I've seen him do it, you know, obviously through the year. And last year as well. I believe it's probably a predictive lap timer that he's looking at to see kind of where their pace is and kind of what the predicted time is, so he can judge his times. And if that's actually what he's doing, it just kind of shows the racecraft that he's got even more.
2.5 laps remaining in this one. Dominic Doyle trying to hold on to this lead. What does Rocco Landers have in mind for the end of this race? Into the chicane we go, and it was Samuel Lockhoff who definitely made a mistake, Jason, earlier on in the last lap by Sam Lockhoff.
He went 45.0, and these guys were doing 43s, and he was down into the 42s.
He was in 4th, was the South African on the Celtic HSBK Racing Ninja 400, and trying to gather it back up. And that's the problem with this smaller class. It's really difficult to make up ground lost.
It's hard, yeah. It's hard to make up that time, especially if you don't have a draft or you don't have somebody there to help kind of pull you back up. But he's got enough time. 3 laps is a long time around Road America on a little bike, and these guys now coming out of the last turn. But I expect to see that battle getting a little bit closer back there. You know, between those last, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. And here comes Rocco. But see, Greg, he's not in a hurry to get by. He's just going to kind of hang out. Let's see what the lap time is this time by. Okay, they've gotten down into the 40s. They did 40.8 last time. They've gone 40.9 this time. So, again, it's just kind of filling each other out a little bit.
Yeah, because really the time to pull the pin on a lap time that's 2 minutes and 40 seconds isn't 2 laps to go, not with these bikes.
It's a long time.
It's a long time,
Yes.
So you've got to really plan it. Ratcheting back, Ben Glotty's in 3rd, Gus Rodeo is in 4th, Sam Lockhoff 57 in 5th place, and David Kolstad, the number 29, in 6th spot. So it looked like the number 96 Gus Rodeo had started to break free from that pack.
Look at this.
They reeled him in. Look at this group. This
looks like
this is Junior Cup racing.
It looks like Jack Roach is in this group. Obviously Kolstad's. Jack Roach, Lamandry Jr. Wyman. There's Cody Wyman.
Cody Wyman on that Yamaha.
Yep, Liam Grant, Isaiah Burleson, who I got a chance to meet the other day. He was the young man that we saw fall pretty hard in turn 8 the last round, and so he's involved in all this mess right now. These guys going down the back straightaway.
This is the battle for 7th.
John Knowles there on the 52.
They're fanning out as they head down to turn number 5. This is where we saw an incident earlier in the race. On the binders. Who's going to get the position? The 91 sorts itself out. Look at Wyman on the 34 Westby Racing Yamaha. This is his whole strategy when I talk to him. He knows he's outgunned on horsepower here with the Yamaha. His biggest weapon is the brake lever.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. And he just lets off I was watching him through turn 13 the other day, and he's almost like doesn't even break a tuck. He's in a tuck the whole way through it, on that little R3. And you can see he's going to try to do something with Burleson as they head down into turn 8 on the right side of our screen there. That's exactly what he does. And our leaders are coming out of the chicane. These guys are all rolling off now into this big, long carousel.
Left part of your screen, that lead battle. They're going to be heading down into Canada corner. When is Rocco going to make a move? We know he's going to do it at some point as this battle for 7th continues to sort itself out.
And now you can see Sam Lockhoff is caught back up to Rodeo, so he's pulling up. It's going to be probably a decent lap from those guys in the 4th, 5th, 6th. They're kind of getting back together. They are, Greg, about 2.2 seconds behind 3rd place Glotty, who's riding around by himself the whole time, pushing his own win. So, it's going to be a hard call for those guys to catch him at this stage, but we're going in the last lap now. We're going to see what Rocco wants to do.
So there's the draft. Yeah, he just gets in the draft for a moment, but still not sitting there.
Yeah, he's just kind of off to the left-hand side. He'll probably maybe try to do something out of turn 3 as they go out of 3. White flag lap there. Last lap, they'll come through here, turn 1, down to 3, and then maybe Rocco will try to draft him as they go down towards turn 5. Put himself in a position to slide up underneath Dominic there. And, you know, Dom's got to try to remember that, you know, what Rocco's done here is he's not shown anything. He's not shown a hand on anything. He's just ran right behind Dom. He knows everything Dom's going to do.
Yeah, to me, advantage Rocco Landers because he's got everything, and Dominic hasn't had an opportunity to figure out where he's going to fight back because Rocco only knows where he's stronger than Dominic. Dominic has no clue.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So now we just got to wait and see. Here comes Rocco. He's going to position himself on the left as they come down, and it looks like he's finally going to try to do a draft pass and maybe outbreak. Not quite close enough, Greg.
So Dominic Doyle, number 25, holds Rocco Landers, number 1, off for the moment into turn number 5. Up to turn 6, and underneath the Corvette bridge, they're going to go. Dominic Doyle, he's done it a couple times when we were here for Road America number 1. Rocco Landers, he got beat twice in this class, and he has got a strategy in his brain that he has been playing out for the last 4 weeks. How is this thing going to end for Rocco Landers? He just hasn't gotten that body language just yet.
Yeah, he's just kind of like just waiting there and seeing what he wants to do. He hasn't drafted though, Greg. Really, he hasn't. You're right. We haven't really seen him in the back of Dominic Doyle down these long straights. So maybe it's going to be something that he's going to do, you know, out of Canada corner. Maybe he just feels like he can draft him at the line. So if he sits here for long enough, maybe he feels like he can just do that.
Could it be heartbreak for Dominic Doyle? He's run a masterful race, led all 6 laps to this point. There is nothing between these two riders as they work the final sector of Road America. It's Liqui Moly Junior Cup race number 1 on this final lap. Rocco Landers is close enough to be within striking distance as they head off into turn number 12, Canada corner. 1 bike length between the two of them. All thoughts are on that long run out of turn 14, up the hill to the checkered flag.
These guys are so fast through here. I mean, at the beginning of the weekend and last time out, they are so fast through 13. Last corner now Rocco's kind of setting up a little bit outside, seeing if he can get a run.
Dominic Doyle up onto the paint. Rocco Landers into the draft for a moment. He's going side by side. They are going to the checkered flag, and Rocco Landers looks like he had the advantage for the moment. And Rocco Landers is going to, it's a photo finish, and it looks like Dominic Doyle was able to hold on to the lead by 6,000ths of a second.
Ben Glotty does a great job coming home in 3rd place and really trimming that gap down, 11.4 seconds. Now we got this big battle, Greg, coming out of the last corner. All these guys, see the 91 at Burleson, and Wyman's there.
Wyman trying to get out of the draft on that Yamaha. He gets a good one. He takes the spot, but there's so much real estate. Will he get swallowed up? Who's going to get 7th place? It'll be Cody Wyman, the 34. Great run.
Yep, really good job from Cody Wyman there. These two guys rode around together the whole race. Looked like Rocco did everything he could there. I mean, he kind of drafted and got up alongside. You can see he's frustrated again. But, man, what did he lose by, Greg? 6,000?
6,000ths of a second. So, by the way, as this photo finished, Rocco, the timing looked like it was going to be perfect. But, you know, Jay, with these horsepower bikes, a little bit of movement can cause you to go oscillate back and forth. And here it is over the line. Confirmation that Dominic Doyle, the bike on the right, gets it by, that's legitimately a quarter wheel.
Nothing. I mean, it's just nothing.
That's what 6,000ths of a second looks like.
I mean, I don't know.
On a Liqui Moly Junior Cup bike.
I don't know what Rocco can do any different. Like, it looked like he just thought he had a game plan that whole race, and but you know, it's hard. These bikes are just pretty closely matched, and it's very difficult. Dominic Doyle, a tremendous job, 3-0 so far for 2020.
6,000ths of a second separate heartbreak from victory for Dominic Doyle. As they make their way around Road America, this 4-mile-long race course on this bike. It takes them quite a while to get around for these bikes, but with race fans here, Jason, I mean, this is just the best way to do it. You know, we heard it in the Hono Superbike class from Cameron Beaubier. You can hear horns and fans, and it's great to wave to somebody.
Campgrounds are full down there. I mean, there's a lot of people camping out in the infield there, which is really nice. And you can see Rocco talking to himself. You know, I think that when you look at this race again, Greg, you got to remember the battle for 3rd last month, or May, June when we were here. It was like 27, 28 seconds. So when you look at it now, 3rd place was only 11.4 back. and you're going to see some frustration here. He's just probably saying, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know how else I can do what I'm doing. Everything I've ever done in the past has worked before. But even if you look all the way back to David Kolstad, that battle for 4th, 5th, 6th, they're all closer as well to these two leaders. So.
Wow, looking at that number 1 plate, you really knew that over the last several weeks that this has just been burning him up. And it looked like he had the perfect race strategy. And it looks like it was going to play out for Rocco there initially going up to the top of the hill, but it didn't quite do it. So Dominic Doyle, Jason, if you think about it, the stat I talked about before, 0.169 of a second, total margin of defeat.
Yeah.
Here at Road America so far this season, that only added 0.06 of a second. It's still under 0.2 of a second for Rocco.
Wild.
And for a rider who's used to just winning at will last season, the frustration is mounting. But not for Dominic Doyle, who, I mean, all the pressure was on Dominic. I mean, if you really look at Dominic Doyle, the consistency of lap times, the way he was hitting his marks, and having the number 1 plate put that kind of pressure on you is really showing that this rider right here is a rising star in this sport.
He's a pretty cool, calm kid when you hang out with him. He's very understated young man, very polite, very cool. But again, he works really hard at what he does here, and he put a lot of effort into his offseason, and it doesn't happen unless you have a great team around you, and he's got that right now, and he's got a good guy that he really trusts working on his bike as well.
I know you're excited to hear what Dominic Doyle has to say. And we'll step away for the moment as Dominic Doyle will get an interview coming up.
Today's Junior Cup race coverage has been sponsored by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Unbelievable race that Dominic Doyle was able to manage to pull off 0.006 thousandths of a second.
Crazy, isn't it?
When you look on the board, it looks like 0.006, as you can see right next to Rocco Lander's name. Benjamin Glady, like Jason talked about, 11.4 back, and that's closing the gap, and that was a great race, and it's something that the rest of the field is hopeful because Gus Rodeo and Sam Lockoff also getting closer to the front.
Yeah, and you go back here a little further, Burleson, Roach, Knowles, Kennard, Forrest Howe. Alexis is there in 16th, and
3 in a row for Dominic Doyle. He's with Hannah.
That's right, Greg. Dominic Doyle is 3 for 3 on the win so far this season. Dominic, take me through your last lap battling with Rocco. How was that drag race to the finish line?
I was really expecting him to come by me on the finish line. Hanging on to it was all I could do. Just keep it pinned and try and hope for the best at the finish line. It was stressful for sure.
Did you make any big changes to the bike between last round and this round to hopefully help you kind of maybe pull a gap on Rocco? Unfortunately, you weren't able to.
Yeah, for sure. My Barcon team has the bike working great as always. Orient Express got the K-Tech setup working on point again, same as last time, and I can't thank them enough for putting a great bike together.
Congratulations to Dominic Doyle, our winner of today's Liqui Moly Junior Cup race. Let's get over to Jamie.
And Hannah, I have watched Rocco Lander since the time he pulled his bike into victory lane. It is a constant shake of the head. Rocco, you sat in second the whole race. What made you wait so long to try and make that pass?
Well, I knew I couldn't pull away from him because I was having constant all weekend. I've been having issues with the left-hand side of the bike. So I just decided I'd sit behind him and try to follow him and do my best to try to draft him to the line. I thought I had it. My team, my dad, my mom, everyone, they put together an awesome bike for me. I thought I had it. I don't know.
Let's go over to Hannah.
Another third place finish for Benjamin Glady this season. Benjamin, what were you able to learn last round that you carried with you into today's race?
Last round I was struggling a little bit, just getting up to pace with these guys. So this round I just really focused on trying to get up to pace in the first couple laps of the race, and that was really what helped me break away from that big battle going on behind me and be able to come away with the third.
Congratulations to Benjamin Glady, our third place finisher. Greg?
All right, thanks. Let's take a look at those championship standings because it is that Barcon Racing Kawasaki Dominic Doyle who leads the way over Rocco Landers on that Norton Motorsports Ninja 400 Dr. Farr Wonder CBD. And perfect so far for Dominic Doyle.
Yeah, great start for the season for him, and he's going to have to come back and do it again tomorrow because I'm sure I'm sure Rocco's going to come back with a whole other plan.
Well, we look forward to seeing what happens in Liqui Moly Junior Cup. For Jamie, Hannah, and Jason, I'm Greg. Thanks for joining us. See you tomorrow.